Hi. Hi.
Come due north to go fishing. The whole family will enjoy the fun and adventure in Ontario. Come on up now.
Welcome to this episode of Due North. It's a beautiful April afternoon, and there's no fishing to be had, so we thought we'd try something different. We're going to teach you how to roast a turkey without the oven, outside. And this is some steps of how to do it. You need to build a tripod, you need some wood, and duct tape, the famous duct tape, with rope, and you tie it around and you form it into a tripod. You tie a string in the middle with a hook, and then we'll show you how to set up the turkey. Follow me? As an Easter tradition in our family, the ladies of the house take the day off and we pass the buck to the men to do the hard work. So us ladies can just sit there and relax and watch them work. TJ will take over from here.
Okay, the first thing we have to do is cut the wings off the turkey. Because the turkey, I found, doesn't cook as well with the wings sitting on the outside. Because the fire is a radiant heat source, this big piece of wing here oftentimes will keep the inside of the turkey from cooking as well as it could, especially if they're over the breast like that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut this section of the wing off. It's a little tough because these are big birds, but both those sections need to go. The one thing I really like about doing this on Easter is that if you're like me and you're doing a lot of things all the time, this is one great way that forces you to sit down and take care of the bird. Because the one thing that I can't stress enough that is if you're going to do this, you really have to pay attention. And sometimes this bird can take up to 6 hours to cook. So that's why I like doing it on Easter, because it makes me sit outside, it makes me take my time, and it makes me forget everything else. It's a great Easter tradition. Okay, the next thing we need to do is dry off the turkey so that we can baste it with vegetable oil. So I usually just get a little bit of paper towel and I pat it down to get as much excess water off it as I can, because I want the vegetable oil to sit in all the little nooks and crannies on the turkey so that it doesn't burn. So what I usually do is just grab a thing of vegetable oil here, pour some in my hands, wipe it all over the turkey. Get those legs and right around here. Lots is fine. You don't have to worry about putting too much. So it'll all drip off by the fire anyway. Then we'll turn it over. And get lots on the bottom too. There. Now we're ready to truss up the turkey in the cage and get it ready to put it out on the fire. Now the next step is to take the turkey and put it into the chicken wire. Now I use just some regular old chicken wire. The difference I like to look at when you go buy the chicken wire is try to get the stuff that's not soldered together. I don't know if the solder would hurt you or not, but I just prefer not to use it. What we're going to do is we're going to take the turkey and put it in the chicken wire. And we're going to wrap the chicken wire around the turkey and tie off all the little ends so it puts the turkey in kind of a cage. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use this cage and we're going to hang it beside the fire. Then once it's beside the fire, we're going to use the twine on the tripod like a rotisserie, and it will slowly turn the turkey while we sit and watch it cook. So the first thing we're going to do is try to spread the chicken wire a little bit so it doesn't buckle when we do it. And we just grab the turkey, put it right in the middle of the chicken wire. Now this is a little bit tricky because once you cut your chicken wire, you have all these little pointy ends. But these are important because we use these to tie off on the chicken wire. But you got to be really careful because they're sharp and picky, and I've poked them through my fingers quite a few times doing this. So we'll get started. We just wrap it right around, and then it's tough to get going there. And you just take these little extra pieces and just bend them back, and it starts to hold the turkey together. Now it's important that you do this a lot of times because we're going to be grabbing this turkey and moving it all around, and we want to make sure that it's very secure. Now, of course, the chicken wire is going to be a little bit too long for the turkey. So what we're going to do, maybe I should start calling it turkey wire, but it's going to be a little bit too long for the turkey. So what we're going to do is we're going to clip off a little bit on each end once our turkey is in. I could have probably put it a little closer to this end and save myself a little chicken wire, but I didn't. So what we're going to do is we're going to clip both ends off right about here. We're going to tie all the ends together and make it sure that it's nice and tight in that little basket. And then we're going to bring it outside and we're going to start on setting up outside. There, I think we're done. You got to make sure that you can pick it up from just about anywhere. And it doesn't move around too much because we don't want it to slip out. And make sure that all your ends are nice and wound around so that the two ends of the cage can open up. Just like that. Now that's pretty good. So now we're going to go outside and we're going to get the fire going and get it ready to go and start it, and then we'll come back in, get the bird, and get her going. Now the first thing we need to get the fire going is some good wood. A lot of people say that you should use maple or some other smoker type wood, but to be honest, I've used pine, I've used all sorts of stuff, and I don't find that the type of wood affects the taste at all. So I'm going to cut up some small stuff, and then what we're going to do is we're going to get a fire going underneath the tripod here, and then we're going to hang the turkey beside the fire. Not over the fire, but beside the fire. And that way the turkey will get the radiant heat from one side of the fire. So I'm going to get a little fire going, get it all set up, and we'll go get the turkey, and we'll come and put it underneath here. So here we go. We're going to start up a little fire. We're going to let the fire burn down a little bit before we put the turkey on, because we don't want to get all the ashes and everything on the turkey. So I'm going to start this up. The one thing you do want to try and find is a place that's sheltered out of the wind. All the spots I normally cook in around the house here are a little bit low, and they got a little bit of water in them because it's spring. So I had to move it outside a little bit, and there's a little bit of a breeze. The turkey will cook best if you can find a spot where there's no breeze at all, and that'll be good. So what we're going to do is we have a little tin flash plate that we put around the turkey when we're doing it, and it kind of keeps all the heat inside. You'll see what I mean in just a minute. Okay, we're going to get our fire going a little bit better here. We want it to burn down quite a bit before we put the turkey in here. I like to use birch bark to get it going. There are other liquid fuels you can use to get your fire going, but you don't want to put any plastics or anything in your fire because you don't want that plastic burning taste transferred to the bird. That's pretty obvious, but I think it needed to be said. Now I'm just going to show you real quick what I use to hang the turkey with. It's just a little system that I came up with. I'm sure there's a lot of different ways you could do it. Basically, I took a piece of heavy-duty twine, and I found that the thinner the better for the rotisserie action. Thicker ropes don't work as well because they don't wind up as good. What I've done is just taken a hook and tied it to the end of the twine, and then what I've done is put some nails down one edge of my tripod leg. And this way, I can hang the hook over the tripod beside the fire. And then I tied some little loops in the rope, and I can use these loops and the nails to adjust the height of the turkey, and you'll see what I mean in just a minute. Alright, so now we've got the bird outside. We're going to try and hang it in the proper position by the fire. I usually like to hang it with the legs up because the breast is the bigger portion of the bird and it will take longer to cook. So I usually start with it hanging like this with the legs sticking up. So what we do is we just hang it on the hook through the cage. You can get 2 sections of wire so it's nice and solid, and we hang it like this. Now what we want to do is get this bird as close to the ground as we can. We don't want to cook it over the fire, we want to cook it directly beside the fire. So what we're going to do is, using the tripod legs and the rope, we're going to position the bird in just the right spot. Right about there. Just so it's just not touching the ground. And once we get it to the right height, then we can move the tripod and lift it up and move it over. Just about perfect. Just move it over here a little bit. See how you can use the legs to get it right into position. There. Now all we do, we got it pretty close to the fire. You don't want it too far away, but not too close either. Put it about an inch closer. And as your fire burns too, you can move your fire around a little bit so you get a bit more around the bird to cook it from all sides. Then all you do is slowly turn your bird around and wind up the rope, and then that's good. And that bird should sit there and turn for at least 20-30 minutes all by itself without you having to do anything. And wind itself up, and then it'll start to unwind. Now the one thing I highly recommend is use of gloves when you're doing this, because you're going to want to be orienting the fire around a little bit. You're playing with the turkey and it's got all those little pointy things in it. Plus you don't want to burn yourself, so I always use gloves. And there. All we need to do now is keep the turkey basted with cooking oil and make sure the fire doesn't go out, and it will turn a beautiful roasted brown just like it was coming out of the oven. So here we are. We've had the bird on for about an hour now, and you can see it's getting nice and brown along the bottom. And what we're going to do is we're going to flip it over and let the other side cook a little bit. So to do that, all you do is lift it up, grab it by the cage, take your hook out, like so, rehook it up at the top, and then gently put it back. And then sit, give it a twist, and let it go just like that. We're going to let it sit on this side for another hour, then we're going to turn it on its side and let it go opposite. So that way we'll get all sides of the bird cooked evenly. Alright, we've been at it for about 2 hours now. Now I flipped it once, so what we're going to do now is we're going to grab it. We're going to change the hook to the top so that we get a little bit more of a different heat on every little bit. You can see it's a little bit up, so what we're going to do is we're just going to adjust it and let it down just a little bit. Fade right, around, there. Just above the ground, and then we can move our tripod a little bit, get it out. And then we'll give it a little spin, and we'll cook it from this side for a little bit. This is the part that I really like, because you get to sit around, have a beer, or any kind of drink I guess, and watch the bird cook. Now there's a couple things you can do too to make it all just that much better. What I like to do is take some maple syrup and mix it with some water. And what you can do is every once in a while, you can give the bird a little squirt with that and baste it with a little maple syrup. That makes it really good. The other thing you can do too is to get it nice and brown and crispy. What you can do is get a little squirt bottle and put some oil, or some vegetable oil in it, and every once in a while just give it a little bit of a squirt. And that'll keep it from burning. So I'm just going to sit here for another hour and enjoy the day. girls, did you guys just go on an Easter egg hunt?
Yeah.
Did you find lots of stuff?
Yeah.
That's awesome. What are we having for supper?
Chicken.
Chicken? No, we're having a turkey. But it's close. It looks like a chicken.
The big chicken.
Did you get to see the Easter bunny?
No.
He's pretty tricky, eh? That's awesome. Watch your bag. So here we go. We've been at it for about 4 hours now. You see it's starting to get nice and golden crisp. You'll know it's starting to get close to the end anyway, when if you slow it down a little bit, you'll see that as it passes the fire, it'll bubble a little bit under the skin. And that's what we really want towards the end. We want it kind of bubbling all over. You can see it's bubbling a little bit there, right there. And that lets you know that it's getting to that temperature that the juices are boiling along the outside. It's getting pretty close to done. What I usually like to do towards the end is I like to get a little bit bigger fire going, and I get it turning a little bit faster, and I try to heat the whole bird up good so that it's nice and cooked before I bring it in. The one thing you have to make really sure, of course, because it's raw turkey, is you have to make sure that it's cooked. And it's very difficult to overcook this bird because all the juices are still sealed inside. So you really want to make sure that it stays around and you cook it really good and well through. So there we go. We've been at it for about 4 hours now. I figure it's about done. I checked it with the meat thermometer earlier and it was close. So I just got my fire going a little bit better. It's nice and crispy on the outside. So basically you just take it off, just like so. We're going to bring it in the house and take it out of the cage and cut it up and serve it for supper. Alright, so we got the turkey inside. Now we take the pair of side cutters again and we're going to clip it out of its cage. And once again, you got to be careful when you're doing this that you don't poke these little things through your hand. So now we're just going to carve it up a little bit. Now I'm not the master carver here. I always left that job to my dad, but I'm going to give it a good shot. Look at that. And there we go. A wonderful Easter turkey. Alright, so we got our bird done, and now it's time for a nice Easter dinner. Say Happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter!
Come due north to go fishing. The whole family will enjoy the fun and adventure in Ontario. Come on up now.